Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Optics in Action. And today I am so honored to have with us Nirel Inman. And she is a good longtime friend, a client, and I'm so excited. She is the co-president of Chicago Glue and Machine. And I'm so excited to interview her today because I love what she does and what she stands for and how she engages her team in creating a great work environment and families and all these things in her business. So, Nirel, welcome to Optics in Action.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I'm the one that's honored. I've enjoyed working with you, and I'm excited to always converse with you. So why not memorialize it? I'm excited to see where it goes.
Absolutely. So, one of the things I love to start with, Nirel, is asking my guests, why do you do what you do? What are you most passionate about? Like, what gets you up in the morning? And what are you excited about?
So I think because we've had this conversation, I often feel purposeless, like something about when I turned 50 really did a number on me. And ever since then, I really feel like I've been digging deeper to find what is that purpose. And the answer that I always come back to is happiness and energy, and where I can give it and where I can get it. And it's always the people that I'm around. So lately for me, it's just been really intentionally setting boundaries for those that don't do that for me, and really intentionally spending time with people that do give me energy, make me happy, and give me the opportunity to hopefully do the same for them.
Yeah. And I really love that about you, Nirel, that you really are defining with clarity where you get your energy from and the people that you want to invest in to keep growing and developing and all the great things that you do. So as you think about the people in your life that you're investing in and they're investing in you, what is it that energizes you about that? Why is that so important to you? I mean, you mentioned your age, but it's like as you've matured or as you've like matured in leadership, why is that so much more important today than it was when you were younger?
Sorry, Ducky, my border collie here is joining us, and I get to bring him to work. That's one of the things is I'm here. I was given this opportunity in large part because my dad and mom made an investment when my dad went into business with a family friend. And as part of a succession plan, I was blessed enough as part of a second generation after working in the business for 12 years to have the opportunity to buy it. And I've become very aware of how fortunate I am to have been given that situation, and almost guilty about it to the point where I'm trying to give back so that everybody in our business has that same opportunity as much as possible. So for me, it's been the impact on the families, whether it's an employee's husband calling saying, we really want to get a dog, but we're not home enough. Can can my wife bring the dog to work? I'm like, well, of course, because I do. I can't be a hypocrite. So it's being able to have that ripple effect throughout somebody's lives, because when they walk in the door, it's not like they check it at the door. I know I don't. I know when I was getting married a few years ago, I spent half the day figuring out the table assignments. Like life, we're whole people.
Yeah.
And I just really like being able to see people for their whole selves and being able to bring my whole self to work. It just feels really impactful.
Yeah. I love, I mean, you mentioned earlier prior to the recording, you're like, my dog might jump up on my lap. I love this. Like we live in this world of artificial intelligence and content being put on the internet and the relationship that you have with your employees. And when I come into your offices and see dogs in different offices and the family events that you have for your team and all of these types of things, you've really created a family culture where people know that you care and your team cares about each other. That's one of the things I find really, really powerful about the culture that you're building there at Chicago Glue.
Thanks. Yeah, we didn't know what employee engagement was maybe 10 years ago. But we were doing some of the things naturally. But having those tools now to be really intentional and aware, and surround ourselves with people like you and other people in our circles that foster that and help us. Again, just surrounding ourselves with the right people are right for us. There's no right or wrong, just right for us. And that was a big lesson for me. Whereas I used to feel rejected, or like if an employee left, or I would take the accountability, and somebody said to me, like, it's fine. They're just not part of your tribe. And something about that clicked for me, like, yeah, to respect the differences and be okay with it, and also be okay with who I am. And that's okay if we don't fit. It doesn't mean one's right or wrong. So yeah, it's been a really fun journey. I'm very lucky.
Yeah, I love that about the culture that you're building there. So tell us a little bit about what Chicago Glue and Machine does. How do you create value? What do you do?
So at the end of the day, there is no Chicago Glue without our people. So it does start with our people, and that we have shared values, which up until, I don't know, 6 years ago or so, I poo-pooed values. I'm like, this is common sense. This is ridiculous that people are stating this and painting it on walls. But it's been incredibly impactful because we can connect the dots. We can hire better when we connect it to the values. And so we're here 24/7, 365 to save you from the drama of a world without glue, because nobody thinks about it, but we do. It's not a line item on an income statement. It's not an inventory item for most companies whose production lines will shut down without it. But for us, it is. It's all we do. We don't do tape. We don't do pack. Like, that's all we do. And by focusing on the application with the equipment, that was my dad and his partner Chuck's vision, that when a customer is running and the line goes down or boxes are popping open, that the glue person is saying it's the equipment and the equipment person is saying it's the glue. And truthfully, it's probably a combination of both to some degree. And
Yeah.
so by taking that accountability ourselves for that application, and our people caring, our mission is we care about equipment and glue as much as we care about you. And we truly do care about one another, and we care about our customers.
Yeah. I love that mission statement. I know it was one of your employees who
Yep,
came up
Lauren.
with it, was brainstormed it. And it speaks to the engagement that you have with your employees, that people on your team put these ideas out there, and they get embraced and they get developed and they get reinforced and they get celebrated, I think, within your organization. And I think that's really cool. So one of the things that I often talk about, I talk about this word optics, and the reason is there's two definitions for optics. It's the study of light, which is like the technical stuff, the glue, the equipment, the application of glue or whatever, like the technical stuff. But optics also has a second meaning, which is the perception of people about something, the perception of people, optics of a situation. And I think you've done a really nice job of blending this technical engineering and equipment and adhesives and all these things with, you keep coming back to these core values. And so why are those core values so important to you?
For me, they are my deal breakers, the non-negotiables. And we all have bad days. I don't live them perfectly every single day. But yeah, they're just deal breakers. Safety's number one, physically, intellectually, and emotionally, always. That is our number one. The rest can be said in any order. But we talk about, if you're going to break another core value, the only acceptable reason is for safety purposes. So if you're not going to honor a commitment and you're going to be late, better to be late than to speed in your car and risk your safety. So, and we talk about so that you can get home to your family.
Yeah.
When our quality manager, Jen, does her hazmat training, I love sitting in on it because she's like, I can't tell you how many times she says, this is all just to get you home safe to your family. This is our priority number one, to keep you safe. This year we put up family portraits we had taken on our wall, and I just love it because it's to remind us of, yeah, Brad's got a wife he's going home to that he loves. Adam has a newborn, their first child that he's going home to. And to see that picture really keeps it top of mind that safety is for us and our anybody we interact with. So the values just really drive. I tell everybody, as long as you make a decision in alignment with our values, I've got your back. If it's going to cost us a lot of dollars, tell me as soon as possible so I know.
Yeah. I think it's really, and that does flow through your organization. I can feel it when I'm working with the teams and working with the people there, that, and I often find this when working with organizations where they have a clearly defined purpose, they have values and they have a mission. And even in your mission, you talk about, we care about glue and we care about you, right? Like those two things being in that mission statement, it's not just about the technical stuff, it's about the people. And I find that so critical with any clients that I work with, people that I work with, that when you care about people, if you have this clear purpose and you're like, this is where we're going and this is why we're going there, the rest of the stuff, the product that you sell, the technology that you sell, the processes that enable you to sell it, and the people who are on your rocket ship with you, like all of those things got to work together, and having that clear purpose is so helpful. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you see in business today? And you're selling to a lot of business to business, you're selling to other manufacturers. What are some of the biggest challenges you're facing today?
I think if you talk to any business owner, the top answer is also people. I do think technology gets in the way sometimes. I don't think COVID did any of us any favors for altering our engagement. We're reading Atomic Habits here now as a book club, a few of us. And it's been really insightful for me how our brains are still hardwired like they were hundreds of years ago. So we might think we're evolved and we're doing this and not even realize, my hand's behind my back, so I feel threatened because I don't know this person from another tribe. So customers and prospects are another tribe. And so breaking down those barriers, and now with remote work, even trying to find the people to talk to has been challenging. So I would say the people continue to be a challenge, but a fun challenge to work through. And then I would say for us, it would be the consolidation. There's a lot of mergers and acquisitions and ownership changes, culture changes. So we could have a great culture fit with a customer one day, and then an ownership change makes us reevaluate that. So I would say those are our biggest challenges, but everything's figure outable, and we're getting there one day at a time.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the things I've been thinking a lot about recently, I've been studying a lot about light and this optics thing, right? And there's two different types of lenses. So I don't know if you remember, I didn't prep you for this, so we'll see where it goes. But
okay,
two different types of lenses that you maybe learned about in physics class years ago. And one of them is convex. And a convex lens, when the light comes through it, it focuses on a focal point. And then
right,
there's concave lenses, and when light goes through it, it scatters it.
okay.
And so I've started thinking about this in terms of leaders, and I've started reflecting on this myself as a leader. Do I bring focus to my team by am I like a convex lens where I bring focus, or am I like a concave team and I just like scatter the energy with my team? So if you reflect on your career, your ownership of the company, what are some examples of maybe convex, like when you feel like you've been convex, you've focused the energy, or when you've been maybe concave and scattered the energy around and not been as focused? Do you have any thoughts or a story about either of those?
Not as focused. I think my dad, I don't know if it's because he was first gen or the size of the organization or because he served in the army, but his style was definitely command and control. And so that is very focused, targeted energy. It's very clear. And I would say I've been trying to be, or no, that was convex, right? Real focused.
Real focused, yeah.
Yeah. And I've been trying to be more concave and get out of our four walls and see what's going on outside there, and then come back and disseminate it collaboratively. So, but a specific example, I think it's just pushing people outside their comfort zone. We have somebody that's been with us 10 years, and I really, it's been a life changer for me to join a forum out of the Entrepreneur and Family Business Council out of DePaul. It's just been a life changer for me. And so I've been encouraging him to go, but it's not the kind of thing I'm going to volunteer him. He had to do it on his own. And they came up with a program that was more flexible than the traditional one. And sure enough, now he seems very engaged with it. And it's opened up some really interesting conversations between me and him because it's rooted in the science of emotional intelligence. And there's a real strong protocol to following that emotional intelligence. And right now, I think he's trying to game the system. And so it's really leading to some fun conversations. And I find those incredibly energizing. And because I believe that personally and professionally, it'll benefit both of us if we raise our emotional intelligence. Yeah. And so to me, the more I can spread the energy, but then selfishly, I just get it back. Like it's just so circular in that way.
I love that. I love that example. I love that self-awareness, that developing the leaders in your organization and spreading that energy out to enable your team to really be more and more successful and to grow and evolve. And the self-awareness around emotional intelligence is really so important. And I think the more of these podcasts I've done, the more I've found it interesting listening to business leaders talk not so much about the technology or about the specifics of what they're selling or the things in their business, but it's about the people. It's about developing their people to be able to grow, to be able to succeed, to be able to do those things. And I think that is look, if we don't impact the world around us, if we don't impact positively the people around us, then why do it, right? Like, why sell glue if it doesn't help people? It doesn't, we can make a living, but if we make a living with a purpose, I think it's so much more impactful. So I love that you shared that. How do people find out more? So, Chicago Glue and Machine. So regional, nationwide, like what's your primary focus area for our audience who might want to learn more about what you're doing or those type of things?
Sure. So let's say about 80% of our core business is in the Midwestern states. We do support business nationwide, and we're very transparent that we don't have a person there. So the support is going to be video, or it is going to be somebody hopping on a plane. So as long as we're all okay with that, or we've put the safety nets in place. So depending on the organization, we walk through like what the response times are that are needed, and we'll, put some safety nets in place. But we're just very transparent as an organization. We never want to let anybody down. We never want to overcommit. So it really just depends on the organization and what their needs are. But I would say about 80% of our business is in the Midwest with so much food packaging and printing, and that's where it is. That keeps us plenty busy.
Yeah. So I was just going to ask that. So when you think about your core markets, when people think about glue, they might think about consumer uses or things like that. What are some of the core markets that the products that you sell and manufacture and distribute? What are some of the core markets that those get sold into?
Yeah, I should have done this from the grocery store, walking up and down the aisle. If you're sealing a frozen pizza box or a cereal box, or you might not even see the box it comes in when it gets to the store, or the pallet it comes on, and the boxes are palletized to eliminate some of that plastic stretch wrap. So a lot of consumer packaged goods that, even the label on your beer bottle is often glued on. And then the other core market in our geography is the printing. And so printing on gift cards, if you go to buy a gift card at the grocery store and it's the kind that peels away, or you get those in the mail, some people call it booger glue, those types of direct mail and printing applications make up the majority. And then we've got some really fun ones, product assembly ones, making office furniture, barbecue grills, replacing mechanical fasteners. So we definitely get into some really fun product assembly applications, but we only take those on very selectively.
Yeah. Awesome. So if people wanted to learn more about Chicago Glue and Machine, where would they find out more about you?
our website, chicagoglue.com. We love people following us on LinkedIn. We really, try to do our best to be transparent about who we are and what we're doing and keep everybody looped in and hear everybody's feedback and ideas. So lately we've been trying to post where the glue wins and where the glue fails. So we'd love it if people posted pictures, because internally we realized we had some education to do on a scavenger hunt. People who aren't really application facing, they thought the glue was failing when it was working great because it was tearing the fibers. So we just love the education component and hearing what our customers are doing with new materials is, as Walmart and those other retailers look to make things more recyclable, it's changing the materials that the glue has to bond. And sometimes people might forget to tell us that, and they just start running a new box with a new coating or something. So we love to hear the trends that are coming and ways that we can help with those applications so that there's no hiccup in production.
Yeah, I love it. And I think, I have some history with adhesives and glue.
Yes.
So I know not everybody in my audience may know that, but that's where I started my career after college. And I think there's so many applications of adhesives in our lives that we don't even think about.
Mhm.
And I remember my first day on the job, I don't know, 20 some years ago. We walked through a Walmart and just walked through like all the aisles and just looked at almost everything there has some adhesive on it.
Mhm.
And so it's definitely you're touching all of our lives, whether or not the audience knows it. And
Mhm.
uh, so when you think about you mentioned a little bit about sustainability and
Mhm.
recyclability, and all these things. How do you see that changing or impacting the products that you're selling, the market
Mhm.
evolving, and things like the importance of sustainability and how that plays into where the market's going?
I think it's the one of the biggest question marks and the to be determined. If I had a crystal ball right now, I would say, unfortunately, a lot of it is going to fall onto us as consumers. The
Mhm.
good thing is it falls on to us as consumers. So if we make our voices heard with those that are setting the laws, and once those that are setting the laws care about those things, the correct legislation will come and guidance will come to truly help us make some educated decisions of how to do things instead of just penalizing it with dollars.
Yeah.
So right now, I think the immediate impact might be financial and not really get to the spirit of being more responsible. But hopefully, the long term is as people become more educated and aware of the opportunities to improve the future we're leaving for these future generations and the earth they're going to have to live on, will make some more thoughtful and intentional choices, not just laws to have financial implications.
Right.
But right now, the only thing we see coming is that more of the legal side, but definitely looking to be a part of the conversation of leading the spirit of those changes, not the letter of the law, but the spirit of why we're doing things and how we can be better. Even if it is 1% at a time, we know, according to James Clear, what kind of cumulative impact that can have. So we're doing everything we can here. Right now at Chicago Glue, we're on the less bad side of things. We're not doing good yet. We're not giving back to the grid, but we're trying to do less bad. So education around recycling and composting and things that we have control over here. And we'll just continue to improve. That's one of our core values, is to continually improve. And yeah, definitely look forward to being a part of those conversations.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the things I see in the living out of your core values. When I pull into the parking lot at your facility and see the composting bin outside, and the recycling and all of the committees and the things that you all do, even though you say it's just being less bad, the reality is that you've built a culture where people care in your organization. And I think that's the start of where you can go, right? We need to start by influencing the people around us that we can influence. And it's something I respect about your organization, is that that's where you're starting and that's what you live. And so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up, Nirel? This has been awesome chatting with you today.
Yeah, no, I'll take any opportunity to chat with anybody who shares the values that I share. And I love chatting with people that have different values because I love being challenged to rethink things and reevaluate. Nothing's written in stone. But I love the thoughtful questions, and I'll be chewing on them all weekend, I'm sure.
For sure. Well, thank you very much, Nirel, for being on this episode of Optics in Action, where we spotlight leaders with vision and clarity. And I love the culture that you've built and the things that you're doing to keep pushing forward. You keep challenging your team, you keep challenging yourself, and appreciate the time you spent with us today here on Optics in Action.
Thank you, Ryan.